All right. Hey, well, good afternoon. Thanks for jumping on the call.
Yes, thanks. I'm ready
All
for
right.
this interview. Yeah.
Very good. Let's kick it off here. So, question one right out of the gate here. Talk to me a little bit about some common audit risks that you've had to face and how you mitigated them.
Yeah, sure. That's a very good questions. So, in terms of common audits and risk and mitigations, one common audit risk I've encountered is a fraud risk, right? Especially in the revenue
Mm,
recognition. To mitigate this, I focus on detailed transaction testing and revenue cutoff procedures to ensure that everything aligns correctly. Right. Another
hmm
one is the internal control deficiencies. So for this, I usually assess both design and operating effectiveness of the control, making recommendations for improvement where we need it. For example, in my previous company, we found that the client's inventory system were prone to errors due to lack of proper controls. So we implemented more rigorous checks and balances, which significantly reduced the discrepancies. Well, last one
Okay.
is
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, just so dig into that a little bit further here. So, how do you evaluate then the effectiveness?
Yeah, sure. So, to evaluate that, I will need to first identify the high risk areas by conducting a thorough risk assessment. Right. This involves looking at areas like revenue recognition, complex transactions that are more prone to areas of fraud. Then I design a specific audit test to address those risks, ensuring that we have a strong evidence to support our
Mhm.
findings. For example, if there's a risk in revenue recognition, I might use sampling techniques to verify the transactions from different periods and cross-check them with supporting documents. Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, this is good, but one of the things that you'll often run into, right, is you find out that these controls aren't doing what you want them to do. You bring them to management. What happens when management's resistant to making those changes? How do you proceed? How do you continue to push for making those changes, particularly in the face of, let's say, a tight deadline, or if we're looking at some stakeholder pressure here? What do you do? How do you overcome that?
Sure. That's a good question, right? So when
hmm
managing a resistance into making changes, communication is definitely the key. First, I would
Mm.
make sure we articulate the risk and potential impact of not addressing the control deficiencies. Right. I often use real-world
Okay.
examples or past incidents to emphasize the importance. If resistance persists, I escalate the issue through the proper channels, ensuring documentation of all communications, right? In the tight deadline and the stakeholder pressure environment, I prioritize collaborating problem solving by involving all relevant parties to find a workable solutions. So we need to meet the mutual agreements, right? So that the both audit requirements and business needs are met. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you.